We've always had room in our hearts for film and TV, not just on Netflix, but tape and disc and theaters. Also, God forbid that they take it all away and leave us nothing to broadcast to loyal listeners. We'll binge watch every single movie, so you don't have to. What else are we here for? Coming to you every week. Listen to us while you're busy. Luckily, we forgot to grow up. Hey everybody, it's Craig.
Hey, it's Scott.
Hey, it's Andrew.
Welcome to episode number 14 of the Forgot to Grow Up podcast. If I wanted 2 sevens, I would get a 14, okay? And if you don't get that reference, that's because you're not drunk on cough syrup and tea.
And you don't
sick.
Believe in Crystalia like we do.
Exactly. And so if I cough, or if Scott coughs, you'll understand what's going on. We are dying here, but we're so devoted to this that we're here anyway. This week, we're going to take a trip back into decades past in television, and we're going to talk about the TV shows that we would like to see rebooted or recast or, stricken from the record entirely. And then because we're so prepared, we're going to cap it all off with our WWWTWs, and if you're a long-term fan, you already know what I mean, and if you're not, welcome! That's what we watched this week. So I'm going to start it right off, and we've been known to talk about this sitcom that I'm going to reboot in the past on this show, so I'm going to go right into it. I want to redo Cheers, except instead of being in Boston, because
another Boston man. Everything.
Always
so many. Forgot to Grow Up is Boston at this point. We're Boston strong.
Unfortunately,
like
because I'm
Boston, I would say.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Toronto Blue Jays fan, I can't support another show in Boston where there's a bunch of Red Sox fans, so I'm going to move it to Detroit. And instead of my bartender being a washed-up baseball player, because that doesn't happen anymore, if you made it to the major leagues, you're rich. So I'm sorry, Sam Malone, but you're just going to be a guy.
Unless you spent your money poorly.
Well, that's true, but then maybe don't buy a bar.
Or maybe you do.
Although to be fair, he was a bit of an alcoholic. Maybe that's why he's money poor, because in this case the bar does not do very well.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna cast this guy with Brent Morin, one of my favorite comedians, and I'm gonna replace Coach because we're getting rid of the baseball thing entirely. I'm gonna take Coach out. I'm gonna make him a young gay man with an accent, just because I can. I mean, it's 2018 now. I almost said 2017. It's been a long month, and then I really think that far beyond that. But I think I'd want to have Ron Funches as a regular, just because that man is hilarious and seems like he'd be able to fit the Norm and the Cliff Clavin character pretty well. So yeah, that's my first pitch.
Let me just stop you right there and say that sounds just like the TV show Undateable, for starters.
Damn it.
So Cheers is undateable at this point in the Forgot to Grow Up lore. Second of all, we forgot to mention that we did have a rule for this segment, and it was that Ted Danson has to be incorporated with each reboot. Ted Danson has to be there. I'm
going to include Ted Danson as the landlord then.
There we go.
Oh, I like that. Like the landlord of the... So it's still in a bar, right, you said? I just want to
yeah,
make sure
it's a bar.
It's clear.
And since I've now been figured out that I basically just copied the Undateable scheme, we're going to include Crystalia. And yeah.
So you're basically just going to take the Undateable and move it to the 90s? Or the 80s?
No, yeah, why not?
I like it. I stand by it.
And then Ted Danson will be the landlord that owns the building that Black Guys is located in.
I like it. Are you keeping the Cheers name, like, for the show?
No.
What's the name of the show then?
We're gonna have to call it Undateable. We're gonna have to call it Undateable now.
Undateable.
You guys figured me out.
Isn't that taken?
Uncheersable.
Uncheersable.
Well, I can't make the same show again.
Well, that's what all mine are. So, well, it's not the same show. Mine are continuations. Right. But anyways,
let's call it something else. Let's not call it Cheers. We call it Cheers Revisited. That sounds good.
That sounds like such a reboot name. I like it. That sounds very Hollywood.
I mean,
like the only way it could be more Hollywood is if you switched it for like Reloaded, because they wanted to make an extreme version of it instead.
No. Cheers Reloaded is way better. That's
like
what we're
that.
going with.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. So you guys want to do this kind of like in a rotation type idea where we each do one, or do you
That
want me
works.
to-
That works. Almost like
Yeah.
the draft, but with less
Yeah.
consequences.
Yeah, less of an ego and like bragging rights riding on it.
I stand by it.
All right, so then which one of you two wants to follow up that disaster?
Scott, it's all you.
All right. So I have a little disclaimer before I start with any of mine. Mine are all sci-fis because I grew up watching a lot of sci-fis and I love sci-fis. And these are all pretty much have at least one of the original cast members. They're all like still connected to the original show. Most of them are just like restarting the show a little bit further into the future.
Like the X-Files.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, that's a good way to put it. So the first show I'll start off with was Firefly, because I just finished watching Firefly actually this week, and I'm very sad that it didn't get a longer run. For those people who haven't seen Firefly, you should check it out on Netflix. It's only 13 episodes. It should have been more. It's a shame.
Nathan
that didn't have more.
Fillion deserved better.
He did, and the fact
Don't
that it
eat
was
that
from
Nathan Fillion.
2002 just always baffles me, because how like it still kind of holds up. Like some of the CGI is a little meh, but it's still actually pretty
As a
good.
TV show, I mean, you gotta understand.
That's what I mean, though.
For
Like,
most
for-
people, CGI is
two-
gonna be shit. Like,
Exactly. And for me, I was surprised at how good a level it was, considering it only had one season. Like, the budget was obviously not super big, but they still did a pretty good job with what they had, and they didn't overuse special effects they only used it when they needed it, and so then they were able to save money in that sense. Like, they didn't have useless special effects everywhere. But anyways, into my reboot, it goes 20 years into the future from when the original series took place, because the original series ended off with the movie Serenity, for those who don't know,
Also excellent.
which is a great movie. If you don't want to watch the 13 episodes, just watch Serenity. It's only 2 hours, and you get the gist of the whole show. You get the gist of what Firefly was about, because it was that crew you followed.
And then you'll be hooked, and you'll go back,
Exactly.
and you'll restart it. Exactly.
Exactly. So everyone's back from the original, because mine's just a continuation. It's 20 years in the future, but Captain Reynolds is the only one who's still on Serenity. So everyone else has gone off and done their own, are off doing their own live stuff. And how the show restarts is we find he's on Serenity, he's off doing some mission with this ragtag crew who all end up dying because some new alien threat has entered the galaxy. That's another disclaimer I should put. Most of mine have just a new alien threat as the reason
Okay.
these shows are starting again. But there's a new alien threat in the galaxy that they have to spend just a mini series. This isn't a whole new show.
sounds like someone's been watching too much Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yep. That's actually on what I watched this week. But my favorite thing, one of my favorite shows, another one I'll be talking about, was Stargate. And all these sci-fis, that was my favorite thing about them, was there was just an alien threat, and their whole show was based around them trying to beat it eventually, finding technology. And that's my favorite concept for a sci-fi. So I threw it into I threw that into Firefly, my Firefly reboot. And so once his whole team's been killed by this enemy threat, his red coat team is what I called it.
His
The
new
crew.
B-run team.
Yeah, they're only
basically.
there for the pilot. They're there just to get
Exactly.
killed by this new threat. But then he ends up escaping, and he has to spend the first couple episodes of this series re-getting the gang back together. And so everyone's off doing their own things, but he has to go get them to team up. And the series is just about them trying to stop this new alien threat to their section of the galaxy, or the verse as they put it.
So it's like Firefly meets season 3 of Legends of Tomorrow meets Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, those are 3 shows I watched. So yeah,
Okay, gotcha. Just trying to stay
most
on.
of my stuff's recycled stuff anyways. So yeah, but the main reason I want to see this is the fact that it only ever got one season to start, and I feel
Which
like
is
that's
a
a little bit of a shame. Yeah, and I just want to see them go on some kind of adventure. I admit a new alien threat is maybe, it doesn't necessarily have to be an alien threat, just a new, I actually put just new enemy, the rest are alien threats, but some kind of new threat to the galaxy that they have to team up to do. They're not really, galaxy savers, but they kind of, they're good guys. So that's why I have his crew get killed, so he has to get another crew and figure something out. I didn't put a lot of thought into it. I just want to see them back. I just want to see Nathan Fillion back. I want to see them all back. That includes Wash, who died. I thought of a good way to bring him back, which is he's just in a computer. It's a really sketchy AI that he recorded
Okay.
before he died, but it's just but it's so that we can have him in the show, but like we're not like, trying to rewrite that he died, right? So it'd just be like, but it'd be like kind of glitchy in that like it doesn't always respond the right thing, but it just has a bunch of his like quirks and like little things that he
kind
can
of
respond
recycled
to.
pre-recorded stuff type thing.
A little bit, yeah, because you'd only have so many recordings he could have done before he died, right? Like
just
I'm not saying he
recycle
did it just
every
before
line
he
he
died.
said beforehand, and then
I would get him to come back and do fresh lines for this. Like I'd imagine it as like, because they had such risky jobs, he always he started to record these things or make this program for
Just
his wife in case he had ever died. Yeah, so like it's not a complete program. That's why it's kind of like glitchy sometimes, but I think it'd be kind of fun to be able to just stick his head in a computer, and it's like an autopilot for their for Serenity or another computer or another plane or something like that. I just want to bring him back 'cause he's my second favorite. He's one of my favorites from it. So, and I hate that they killed
Alan
him.
Tudyk is amazing.
Yeah.
Out of the frying pan into the firefly. I like it.
Exactly. So that's my reboot or restart for Firefly. Exy,
Andrew,
what's first on your
got?
list?
Well, my first one is very quick, so I'm gonna do two here. I'm gonna rip you guys off. I'm gonna do two.
That sounds good.
My first one is basically just Xena Warrior Princess with Lucy Lawless. I just want them to turn around and rename it, call it Wonder Woman.
Nice.
Because it's basically the same frickin' thing.
It basically was, yeah.
Just call it Wonder Woman. Ted Danson can come in and he can be Steve Trevor.
Would this be would this be connected to the Arrowverse?
No, just its own thing.
Its own thing?
Hang on.
I like
Before
that.
you continue, how are you going to add Ted Danson to Firefly?
Ooh, yes.
That's fair.
Breaking all the rules.
Ted Danson.
Can't let you get away with it.
Yeah, that's true. I'd forgotten about that, to be honest. Ted Danson would be...
You want to make him the mate on the crew that dies?
I thought about that, but then I was like, no, 'cause those are just going to be a bunch of nobodies. I think he'd be like I want to say like some kind of like mayor or general on some planet.
You can make him a villain. He played that in Damages.
Damages, yes. He was a villain, and then he was a good guy who was also a villain, and then he was a villain again.
Maybe like one of those kind of like... Maybe he's some kind of like general for like the Alliance, which is like kind of good but kind of bad because they're the government, but they're kind of bad in that sense. So maybe he's like, you know what I mean? So he's a little bit of a gray area character.
Okay, make him like a hero with an agenda.
Yeah, exactly. So he's kind of like, he doesn't 100% believe that this threat's like real, so he's trying to like track down the Firefly for some whatever reason, like maybe he thinks that Firefly is responsible for all the damage that this new threat is causing, and so he's trying to track down Firefly, and Firefly has to like avoid them. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So he's like,
he needs to get the job done kind of covertly and avoid Ted Danson catching up with them.
Exactly. And Ted Danson's just on a big giant spaceship and he's just leading a crew of people, and he's like a slightly reoccurring character because it is just a mini series. I was thinking like just a little short, like 8 episodes.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Just to give you a little bit of an extra taste after season 1.
Exactly, yeah, and give them all a chance to like play their characters once more again, and like give us all a little bit more. So that way we at least had 2 seasons of Firefly instead of just 1 in a movie.
I like it.
But anyways,
I like it.
Yes.
Yep.
So back to Wonder Woman.
How
would Ted Danson be
Wonder
Woman?
Princess? Ted Danson can be Steve Trevor. That's my way of tying him in. Just because
Steve Trevor.
Hey, it's okay. Lucy Lawless, near the end of it, she didn't exactly look like a spring chicken. Good-looking woman still, but it's also crazy that Xena Warrior
my
Princess...
point is, though, he's white hair and she's like middle. Like I know there's
maybe she's
she doesn't age.
This took place in the 90s. He still had kind of dark hair, 20-something years ago.
Oh, so that's how we're doing.
He would still be 50 at the point of them redoing this back then.
Oh, that's how you're saying redoing. I'm talking about my show's restarting now. That's why I was confused.
Okay. See, all of mine take place when they did, just little touch-ups.
Oh,
that's my reboot.
That's the part where I wasn't sure because I was like,
because I'm not rebooting stuff. I'm fixing them so that @SexyXy enjoys them better.
Okay, so you want somebody to go back in time. So we're talking to the Legends of Tomorrow right now.
Yes, that's what we're doing right now.
We're throwing it off to them so that they can go create some anachronisms and fix some TV shows from the past for you.
Yes. For instance, making Xena Warrior Princess Wonder Woman. Because it was a better Wonder Woman show than Wonder Woman was.
That's fair.
Fuck Paradise Island. So my second one I'm going to throw out here right now. Home Improvement meets 8 Simple Rules. Both of those shows I enjoyed, but there were little things that I didn't like. For instance, I think it was season 3 where the dad dies, like the actual actor for the dad dies from 8 Simple Rules. And then they bring in David Spade, which I love David Spade in most things. Wasn't a fan of him in 8 Simple Rules.
Family Guy?
So for this show, I want to have it as Home Improvement, so it's, you know, Tim the Toolman Taylor. But I want him to like be the dad on 8 Simple Rules. So instead of having his kids, because I didn't like the sons on Home Improvement.
Home Improvement?
I didn't, like, the characters were okay. I didn't like the actors. Like, I just wanted to fucking punch them all in the nose.
That's fair.
Even as, like, a little kid, I was like, meh. So, like, I didn't like them.
I
so
never
I figured,
had that feeling, but okay.
So I figured, let's pick them up. Let's move Tim. Let's move his wife. Let's move the neighbor, Wilson. Let's bring Wilson over.
And his
let's
fence.
And his fence. And let's bring, what's his name? His co-host.
Al.
Let's bring him over too, and they'll have that life, but he'll also kind of build it around raising his teenage daughters. And as I say this, it kind of becomes more Last Man Standing.
That sounds exactly like Last Man Standing, except he's just...
Except instead of being the marketing guy for an outdoor store, he's
still the
Tim the Toolman Taylor.
Toolman Taylor.
Yeah.
Which was his better life, if you ask me.
Yes. I don't know.
That's debatable.
I kind of liked him in Last Man Standing, mainly because he spoke more to me as a person in that role.
Yeah. I like Tim the Toolman Taylor better than marketing.
Marketing
Tim
expert
Allen.
Mike
Baxter.
Mike Baxter.
Yeah,
That's fair. But here's the tipper. Ted Danson plays Wilson.
I like that.
You just see his glass.
Except you can't really tell.
You just see his glasses
Like
and his hair
that'd be the
sticking
whole
up.
thing. Yeah.
And you'd be like, is that fucking Ted Danson? For the
He's always
entire
wearing a
show.
hat. You have no idea why. He's always wearing a hat.
Yeah. For the
So you
entire
just-
show, you're like,
you
is
just-
that fucking Ted Danson? And then you
I'd
get to the
like-
last episode,
And
it's
you
Ted
get to the
Danson.
episode where you see his face, and that's it.
And that's how it ends. Just, Ted.
I'd like if they switched out from the original Wilson, Ed Danson, like every couple episodes, so that it just messes with people, and then at
And you're
the
like,
end,
no, it's not
you
Ted
find out
Danson.
there's 2 Wilsons.
So there's Wilson W. Wilson, and then there's another Wilson W. Wilson.
I think it'd be funny that like this whole time he thought he was talking to one person, but it was actually like a set of twins or like
Yeah.
Yeah,
brothers,
twin brothers.
instead.
And they couldn't both handle his bullshit, so like
Yeah,
they took
they
turns.
split time. Yeah, exactly.
I can
They
stand
just
by
never
that.
corrected him because there's,
So like Milton M. Milton and then Wilson W. Wilson.
yeah, I like that.
I like it.
So Craig, back to you. What's your next one?
So the next one I came up with was a redo of Gilligan's Island, except that instead of being a 3-hour tour and getting trapped on an island, and I have to read this because I actually like wrote it down in like story form. So we have an undetermined group of people on a hiking tour of the Pacific Northwest. So hills and forests, and you're in the middle of nowhere.
Nice.
The head ranger, who we are going to make somebody, I can't figure out who I wanted to put in that.
Not Ted Danson.
No, it's not Ted Danson.
We need some like,
I haven't
hot shot.
I haven't figured out. No, I know who I want Ted Danson to be, and I'll get there. So somebody has to be the head ranger that's taking everybody on this tour,
The Rock.
and they get perfect. They get lost, and his iPhone battery dies.
Oh shit.
And so now they're in the middle of the wilderness, and because of his incompetence and the and his first mate, played by Zach Galifianakis, who replaces Gilligan.
I can picture this.
They can't find their way out. So the first episode is them getting lost, and it's the first night. And then, so you've basically got, who else did I put?
Because so far it sounds like the movie The Rundown mixed with Zach Galifianakis instead of Sean William Scott.
Eventually, a couple episodes in, we find that Zach Galifianakis has a battery pack in his bag that he forgot that he had because he's an idiot.
Okay, so now it's Jumanji mixed with the rundown with Zach Galifianakis instead of Sean William Scott and Kevin Hart. Okay,
they get the phone recharged, and then they figure out that they're in the middle of nowhere and have no cell phone reception.
Okay,
so that's how they end up lost instead of being on a
desert island. Okay.
The entire premise is garbage. Just go with it.
You're just going to use the name then. You're recycling the name and that's it.
No. It's not even going to be called Gilligan's Island. It's
okay.
It's the same idea.
Concept.
The concept's all the same, and like the ridiculousness of the fact that they could never get off the island was part of the charm of the entire show. So the fact that they're stuck in the forest and they can't get cell phone reception because it's modern day. And then they keep trying to get the attention of hikers that keep going by, but you get them confused as like Bigfoot or survivalists because the hikers always seem to go by at night or in like when it's dark, so you can't really tell what's going on. Okay. So they never get rescued. And then your characters, I have written down here a science teacher, a couple that is on their vacation from Florida, and a Wall Street trader. And I can't decide where I want to put Ted Danson. I kind of want to make him the guy in the couple from Florida, just for hilarity.
See,
he would have way more
gravitas. Like
Oprah's
his wife.
Yes.
See, for the couple from Florida, are you
like
picturing like? Do you want like an older couple from Florida or?
Yeah, retirees who are usually.
Oh man,
used to,
see, I was thinking like Ed Helms and the redhead from Wedding Crashers. I feel like them two working together as a couple, and that would just be like a bitch fight waiting to happen.
I could get behind that. We can move Ted Danson to the Wall Street.
Yeah, then make him the Wall Street guy. Make him his character in Damages.
Yes.
I still have to watch Damages.
This
Everything
is a
goes back to
Damages
Damages
podcast. We're not responsible for any damages it has on your life.
That's basically anybody who watches it, we do apologize in advance, but we cannot be held responsible for the therapy that will follow. That's my Gilligan's Island reboot.
I like
it. Yeah. Except
I would watch
you haven't
that.
given us a name yet.
I don't really have a name for it.
Reloaded, okay.
Yeah, no.
Gilligan's Island Reloaded.
You can't call it Gilligan's Island Reloaded.
The Naked Fun.
We call it Lost in the Woods.
That sounds like a
little too on the nose.
Yeah.
Sounds like a British comedy. Without a paddle.
That already exists.
Well, it could be like the TV version, I guess. But then people might get it mixed up. They might be thinking you're doing a
TV version of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's fine.
Up the creek.
Well, yeah. That would be the next thing I was thinking of is Up the Creek.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's the name of the second without the paddle, but it's the second part of the name, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It is Up a Creek without a paddle.
Yeah.
So we'll just go with Up a Creek or Up the Creek.
I like it.
Okay.
There we go.
Right on. So is that my turn then for another
Now it's back to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's your turn.
So my next one is Stargate, because Stargate's one of my favorite shows ever. So again, I'm bringing back one of the original cast members. This is probably the one that's like the least amount connected to the original.
Now, are you doing Atlantis or are you doing SG-1?
It's kind of SG-1, but it's pretty much just a new iteration of the show. So it's like, because they had after Atlantis, they had Universe for a couple seasons, but then that got canceled. So I'm thinking this is like 10 years in the future-ish.
So this is your CSI New York then, where you just bring in a whole new one.
Kind of, yeah, except I still have Daniel Jackson, because he was one of my favorite characters from the original, and he's still a young enough guy that he could now be the older member of the team, right? And one of the leaders. And so what I have is that Daniel Jackson gets teamed up with a new hotshot Marine guy who has to lead a team, this new Stargate command team, like a special ops type team. It's not going to be SG-1. I thought of SGX, and then I was like, that's way too lame. So I just benched the name. So we're just at Stargate right now. They had to put together a team to fight this mysterious new alien threat in the galaxy, because that was always my favorite part.
There's a common thread.
Yeah, like I said, there's
your
a very
Scott.
common thing. This was the show I was talking about before that had was my favorite part about this show. It was 10 seasons. the first 8 they're fighting literally one alien threat like the whole time, but they managed to set up such a wide universe that that they were able to like easily, didn't felt drawn out, like because they were making slow steps towards eventually taking this down, and then the last 2 seasons they fought another one, and same with Atlantis. So it's a very common theme among Stargate, and that was my favorite part about Stargate. Is I like the idea that they the reason they're exploring is they're trying to find a way to defeat some superior enemy, like some technologically superior enemy, and so that's why I want to restart it with another one of those. Yeah, so they have to go through the Stargates, trying to go through to new worlds and find a new technology that can and track down information about where this new mysterious threat came from. So that's my Stargate reboot. It's just pretty brief because Stargate kind of speaks for itself a little bit. It's a week to week kind of, not a monster, it's not like a week to week monster thing, but it's like a typical sci-fi. Like each week they have a new problem that they have to solve, kind of like Star Trek in that same way, is that they just come up with new problems. And I liked Stargate better than Star Trek because it had a little more action. It was a little more fun of a concept, I thought. So that's why I want to see it brought back. I miss Stargate. That's the other reason.
Now, I don't know if I missed it because I spaced out or anything.
I was just getting to that, actually.
Where's your Ted Danson, man?
Mr. Ted Danson. I'm thinking he's kind of like the Jack O'Neill kind of general. So he's not the leader of the command, but he comes in every few episodes. Like when there's a big issue, he's the one bringing the orders from the president. You know what I mean? So he's like the presidential liaison or whatever it's called.
You were close.
And so that's how he'd fit into it. So he'd pop up every once in a while, giving them a new we've got this new order from the president that you guys got to do. Yada da. I can't do a Ted Danson.
I don't think anyone but Ted Danson can do Ted Danson.
That's fair.
Can do the Ted Danson.
But yeah, so that's how Ted Danson fits into Stargate.
I like it.
Yeah, maybe you guys can help me come up with a name for it though, because I'm just blanking. I don't got anything for it.
Well, excuse my ignorance, but did they actually have a Stargate?
Yeah. So,
all on its own? Damn it.
What do you mean?
like the vanilla
just
title.
the name Stargate.
So the first movie was just Stargate.
Oh.
Yeah. So they haven't had a show that's just been Stargate, because the first show was Stargate SG-1, the second one was Stargate Atlantis, and then Stargate Universe. So
here we go. I got one for you. Stargate, capital
Reloaded.
S, lowercase g, capital T, capital D. Stargate Ted Danson.
Ted Danson.
But we're going to keep the G really small, so it's Stargate STD. Just so people are like, what is this? And they'll click on it and they'll watch it.
I don't know how I feel about that. I think
I thought it was
SGX
good.
better. But we can work on that when they come to me to work on the
I think you need an
scripts.
actual. I think you need a storyline to go with it first before you come up with a title, because you have a rough idea, but you need
That's
some more
fair.
fleshed
I'm
out
sorry
ideas
I
to
didn't
actually
plan
come
out
up
a
with it.
24
No,
episode season.
No.
Come on, man. That's what we're doing here.
That's I don't know if you missed the memo, but
I'm
obviously
kidding, I'm
titles are
kidding.
important.
You're right. If I had thought of a name for the enemy threat, it would have worked a little bit more. I like the
Well,
fact
it'd
that
be
they're a little more
easier for us-
mysterious. Like I said, I was thinking of this more as like I said, I came up with X, and then I was like, no, that's terrible.
I actually like the Stargate SGX. I like it.
You like it? But that's
Yeah.
because you're X.
Okay.
No, I kind of like
Stargate
X too.
SGX, but have EX, and then the villains can be Ex Machina or something like that. I know you can't use that because it's already been trademarked, but have them be some type of weird
I was thinking
robot.
their team name would be SGX, and the X
Okay.
would be that they're the Special Forces team.
Okay.
Kind of Weapon
I like that.
Force
Let's
X.
do that.
Okay.
I like that.
So we're back to
SGX.
my original old idea.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So
There we go.
Stargate.
I like
SGX
SGX too.
Take it, Hollywood.
Take it,
So
Hollywood.
my next one, and this one I started off doing a Roseanne reboot,
Yeah.
but then I kind of got talking to Craig, and I was like, you know what? I kind of like Roseanne because it makes fat people seem boss. And I don't want to get rid of John Goodman in it, so I'm going to scrap Roseanne. I'm going to go over to basically the same frickin' show, which was Married with Children.
Okay.
So I'm going to take Married with Children, but I'm gonna replace the characters. I'm gonna make it Married with Children, but with Helen Hunt and John Good, or instead of what's her face, Gemma Teller from Sons of Anarchy.
Okay.
So it's gonna replace her, and then I'm gonna have Antonio Banderas instead of Ed O'Neill.
All right, I like it.
They're roughly the same age, so it works.
Yeah.
And the premise of the show is basically going to be an interracial couple trying to raise their kids, with both of them kind of doing it their own way, kind of going with their heritage and like how their cultures tie in.
Yeah.
So
And then at the end of each episode, they're going to come together and realize, oh, we need to work together, like every other sitcom that's based around a family where the parents do it their own way. And then
you want to make
realize-
Modern Family?
Yeah. Like
80% of sitcoms.
yeah, every sitcom that
Exactly.
revolves around a family,
Yep.
it's going to be that, but with Antonio Banderas and Helen Hunt, because I love Helen Hunt
I like
and
it.
Antonio Banderas. Sexiest couple on TV would be in this TV show. And then Ted Danson can be Helen's boss.
Okay,
Just
I like that.
she'll go to work and bitch about Antonio Banderas, and then Ted Danson will just like hit on her or something. And
Yeah,
be like,
I was just
no,
thinking that,
baby,
like-
it's cool.
Why don't you come over to my hot tub, or
Yeah.
my place to the hot tub, and let you relax a little bit?
He'll basically be the creepy, like super sexual boss from the Drew Carey show. Bring over
Craig Ferguson's character.
Greg Ferguson's character, but we're gonna make it Ted Danson.
I like that. I think it was Wick.
Something
Mr.
like that.
Wick.
Something like that. But we're
You're
gonna
gonna
bring
find
him over, and Ted Danson will be the boss.
I like it.
So you're gonna take the character, but you're gonna replace Craig Ferguson with Ted Danson.
Yes, I want that eccentric, over the top, hypersexualized character as Ted Danson.
Okay, I support that idea.
Yeah, I like that.
He's a good actor. I can see it happening.
I'd watch that sitcom. I haven't watched a sitcom in like 5 years, so I'd watch that one.
Nigel Wick is Craig
Nigel
Ferguson's
Wick.
character.
Oh, I'm glad I got Wick. I love that show. Cleveland rocks.
Cleveland rocks.
Cleveland does rock.
All the other chicks with the crimson lips say Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks.
I gotta rewatch that show. That's,
Yes,
that
I
needs to
can't
be
find
added
it.
to
I can't find a
Netflix.
complete box set, which
That
bums
doesn't-
me out because I
Yeah.
love that show.
Doesn't surprise me though.
I remember watching it all the time when I was younger.
Yeah, I think it was on TBS all the time when I was
Yep.
growing up. Back when TBS was
It's
Before it
It's
became
still being
wasn't Peachtree
rerun.
now?
TBS. It went to Peach Street, and then it went to something after that. I got lost. I haven't had cable since it was Peach Street. So that was like 15
It's-
years ago.
it's still being run on over the air. Like now, the digital channels have like 3 or 4 additional channels on top of them.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's being run on one. I can't even remember what it is. Out of Buffalo.
Oh,
I think it's like Laugh TV or
Bounce.
something like that. Something like that.
it's called Bounce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of channels that play like really old and weird sitcoms that nobody really knew about,
Yeah.
or people knew about, but they're not as big
Kind of
as
cult
your
ones.
typical. Yeah, like cult ones. Yeah, exactly. And I would put the Drew Carey Show in that category.
Yeah, I
Because
definitely
it isn't
agree.
really the talked about Cosby shows of the world.
No, yeah.
Um,
Well, because
yes.
it's a slightly inappropriate, like
Well, yes.
sitcom. So, like I know when I
Or
was
they were
watching
straight
it,
up alcoholics.
Yeah, I definitely was probably too young to watch it when I watched it, so that's why I always figured that like none of my friends when I was in elementary school had ever seen it. So like, yeah, it's definitely a little bit more niche-er.
Out there.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Does that make it my turn?
I think
Yes.
it does. I was just about
It's back
to
to you.
ask that, to be honest.
This is my last one that I could come up with.
Okay.
Because in the tradition of Forgot to Grow Up, some of us did our prep today, right before the podcast. I've been homesick for 2 days, but couldn't be bothered, I guess. So I've already got a title for this one. This one's going to be called The Brady Bunch.
I like
that's
it.
That's about the only thing it's going to take from it.
Okay.
So it's basically going to be a a gritty reboot of the classic in name only.
Gritty.
Okay.
Gritty how?
Oh, yeah. Because rather than being a sitcom, It's going to be about a gang of 6 suburbanites from different families selling crack to burnout commuters, housewives,
Where
and high
in
school
the
children.
unholy hell
What?
did you come up with this concept?
I'm loving it already because it's so like taking the Brady Bunch and just
Yeah,
Make
fucking
it
with
exactly.
cocaine. Excuse me,
Man,
my
they
language.
made Riverdale. Okay,
That's fair. That's a
That's
very
fair.
good point. Continue.
they made Riverdale and people died.
I
So
still
in
haven't
my
watched
Brady
it because
Bunch,
I'm against high school students sleeping with their teachers. I can't watch a show about that shit. No, I'm not doing it. It's not
I
realistic.
didn't even know
it's
that was a thing. I
bullshit.
just can't wrap my head around the fact that it's live action Archie and Jughead.
I
it's
saw a
nothing
couple
like Archie and
episodes
Jughead.
because
I was prepared to
one-
like. I liked the idea, but then I heard about like
It's
it was
terrible.
going way too CW teen drama. Like,
Yeah,
and that's the first
it's
thing I heard.
awful.
I was just like, oh nope, never watching it. Threw it out the window.
Allow me to confirm it for you. It is terrible.
Okay.
We're boycotting the show as a podcast. Then is that what's happening?
Yes.
Unless they decide to do a crossover.
Ted Danson?
No, or that.
Oh.
But I was gonna say a
Ted
crossover with
Danson's
the
in.
Punisher, and the Punisher just kills everybody.
The Punisher
that was a
kills
comic.
the
That was a
Riverdale
comic.
verse. I would read that comic book
Yeah,
where he just goes and kills all the Archie characters.
I think you can find it. I might be getting it mixed up with the Predator time. The time Archie met the Predator, but I'm pretty sure he also met the Punisher.
Well, it sounds like the teacher from Riverdale is the Predator.
Ah,
There we go.
I have
I see what you
Archie
did
meets
there.
the.
There we
I
go.
have. I actually do have Archie meets the Punisher as one of the suggestions on Google.
Okay,
Ooh.
I thought so. Yeah, I thought I.
There we
I'm
go.
pretty sure it's
there
a
we
Dark
go.
Horse.
So
August
now we're talking.
1994.
Yeah. Oh, it's I'm pretty
So
sure
there's
it's
like
Image
a-
or Dark Horse comic book
Yeah.
way back in the day.
There's precedent for this. It might actually happen.
There we
Yeah,
go.
well, that's why I mentioned it because I heard about this on another podcast that I listened to. Like they had kind of suggested that, and that's why I was like, so I'm recycling that idea a little bit, just as a
I stand
disclaimer.
by it.
Disclaimers.
But that's the only way I'll ever watch the show. Just if the CW is watching, if you want my one view, I watch all your other shows. Literally,
And you'll get my view as well. Make it happen.
Make it happen. Bring the Punisher over and let him just. You got people dying in it anyways. But anyways, we got
You got
way
some
off
dude
track from
murdering
what Craig's.
bitches.
Yeah. So
Craig's
Brady
bitch.
Bunch with a group of 6 suburbanites that sell crack to.
It sounds very Breaking Bad meets.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Breaking Bad meets the Brady
Well,
Bunch.
Yeah, I didn't want to
Breaking
go straight
Brady.
to meth though.
Well, yeah,
I
that's
kinda
what
wanted
yours
to-
is crack. Yeah, I get that.
I kind of wanted to use crack just because it, I know how crack is. Not that I have any experience with it.
No, man, you just live in Toronto. We get it. That's right. I'm
That's not
throwing
even.
shit
That's
at
not even it. I
Toronto.
read Freakonomics, so I know what's up. So yeah, their supplier's name though. Get this.
Yeah.
Their supplier's name is Alice Brady, and that's why they're called the Brady Bunch.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
and see,
okay.
I took the housekeeper's name and added Brady on the end of it, and that's why they're called the Brady Bunch. And then their nicknames are all based off the TV show.
They're code
their
names,
aren't
yeah.
actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, their names aren't actually. But the code names that they use in the gang are the names of the kids from the show.
I'm actually really intrigued
like
by
it.
this
This
show, to be honest.
This started off as something really, really messed up that I wasn't sure I was going to get behind, but
No,
I think I'm ready to get behind it.
I want AMC
So-
to make this.
Originally, I wanted to put. Actually, I can't decide where I want to put Ted Danson. I either want to put Ted Danson in the Alice Brady role
I like that.
Yeah, I
as
like
the
that
crack
too.
supplier, but I also kind of
but don't
think
hint
that
it
he
until
could-
like the end of season 1. Just have them.
Yeah,
talk
no,
about
you never
Alice.
actually meet Alice Brady until later on. You got to keep the suspense up. It was either that or put him at the or put him in the police detective role that's always one step behind them. But I also kind of want to put the Vulture from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, whose name I can't remember
Yes,
right now,
yes,
in that
that
role
would be
instead.
fantastic.
Yeah. Why
May-
can't I remember
Mayhem.
his name? Yes, the guy from the Allstate commercials.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
he was also in that one show with is it Josh Duhamel?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was called Battle Creek, and I absolutely loved
yes.
it. And it never, it didn't exist.
Oh
for
god,
very
that show
long.
was so good
It was
for the
it
brief
was so
period it was
funny.
up.
Yeah, that was a good show.
No idea what you guys are talking about.
It was. I think it did one season.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
see,
it
Dean
barely
Winters
scraped
is the name of
through.
the.
That's why.
Dean
I have a
Winters
rule
is the name of
nowadays,
the
too.
actor.
I won't watch a show unless I'm 100% sure it's going to have a second season. Like, I won't watch the
I
first one.
love it,
You've
though.
been Fireflied one too many times, eh?
Honestly, so many times. Like, it's like, and it's always sci-fi's with me too. Like, I like sci-fi's will have a good new concept, but they won't get enough viewership to like balance out the special effects budget. So it's like, oh, canceled after a season or two, and I'm like, oh, great. Or they end up like getting canceled for like half a season, then get picked up on like another one because there's like 4 different there's like space
Okay,
and
yeah.
sci-fi and
Yeah.
another one. So sometimes it bounces between them all before it gets back, and I lose track of them. But anyways, Brady Bunch. I like that.
Yes,
I would
the
watch
Brady
that. I would
Bunch.
honestly watch that.
That's why I
that
saved
would be
that
an
idea for
intense
last.
fucking show.
And I could see them actually like doing that if like depending on who owns the rights to the Brady Bunch. Like I could see them doing that kind of like gritty, like some like I could see a studio like being like, let's take a risk with this. Let's make the next Breaking Bad that's just gonna blow everyone's mind away.
Netflix, you
I'd watch
listening
it.
to this shit?
Or
Let's
Amazon.
go.
You could even set it in the 80s when crack was making its
When it was legit.
when it was
and that
making
plays
its
right
jump.
into like there's a lot of nostalgia right now. There's a lot of shows that they're doing that exact thing, taking place in the 70s and 80s. So I think this would fit right in. We should
Exactly.
we should send this idea to Netflix or Amazon or both and just start bidding more. Maybe Hulu.
Yeah.
But screw Hulu.
Yeah.
They don't come to Canada.
Yeah, they don't come to Canada. Why
then
should
we'll
we give
talk.
them our ideas?
That's true. Let's go with Crave TV. They're all Canadian.
There we
Shoot
go.
There we go. Perfect. Bell, please.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Make it
that's
happen.
that's pretty much the end of my idea. I didn't do any other casting or anything like that.
I like it. That's all you need. They
yeah,
can
I
fill
like
it
it
in
too.
later. As long as Kristen Krug's not in, I'm fine.
Yeah, we gotta put a team together of writers to make the rest of the season. It
Yeah,
doesn't
really.
matter.
We-
like,
Yeah.
we can't
As
do
long as we
everything.
have-
produce it
We're
ourselves.
showrunners. That's what I.
As long
I've
as
always
we
wanted to be
have
like a
Ted
showrunner,
Danson-
like kind of like Kevin Foggy's role, but for TV. That's what I think of myself as. or what
We
we're
are
gonna
the
make-
brain trust,
Yeah.
and that's it. We
Yeah.
get paid
Yeah.
just to say shit.
We don't write the lines because I can't write dialogue. I can barely speak my own dialogue. So it's like, no, I'm not gonna act. Like that's not gonna be a thing. We're the ideas guys. We're coming up with the big ideas. We're making sure it's all planned out and it's ready to go.
Exactly.
You're welcome, Netflix. Come on.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Damn it. Just give me a free membership. I'd give you guys show ideas for that. I don't even pay for my membership. It doesn't matter. Is it my turn to?
Your turn.
Yes,
go
it is,
then?
Scott.
Okay, I have 2 more. Should I just do my last 2 then?
Might as well
yes.
hammer him out.
Okay, so again, we're along the same lines as my last 2. Another sci-fi that we're just bringing
With
back.
alien threats?
Well, kind of, yeah. Actually, no. This next one actually doesn't have an alien threat, surprisingly, because
No.
it doesn't take place in space. But
that
it does
doesn't help.
take place in multiple dimensions. Bam! Multiple Earths. Do. Going sliders. Sliders. I love sliders. I don't think either of you have ever seen sliders. Not
Oh, I
those.
thought you were talking about the burger.
Nope. See, that was a mistake. I knew that was gonna happen.
Damn
I
it.
love sliders.
I
Sliders.
thought we were
think-
White Castling this shit.
It's from
I
watching
personally
too much
believe
Bob's
Sliders
Burgers.
to be the #1 most underrated sci-fi TV show of all time. I love that show. It was a great. So I'm gonna explain to you guys what the original concept was. So Sliders was about this teenage kid who was a scientist. He was like a whiz kid, scientist kid. Well, he's not a kid. He was like 18, 19. He was in university, right? So maybe early 20s. Anyway, so that was played by Jerry O'Connell back in the 90s. I don't know if either you know who Jerry O'Connell is.
Googling.
No, but
the
I'm
name
about to
sounds
find
familiar.
out.
He was in Crossing Jordan. I don't know if you ever saw that show.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, he was in, oh.
He was in Kangaroo Jack.
Jerry Maguire, yeah.
Oh, he was in Kangaroo Jack as well.
Oh, was he? Yeah.
He was in Billions, too.
Anyways, so yeah, Jerry O'Connell. It was back in the 90s when he was still like 20 or something like that.
I'm pretty sure he voices Superman in something, too.
Yeah, he does a couple of Supermans.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
he does.
Yeah, so the original Slider show was about him, and he was this like teenage physicist whiz kid, and he was trying to make a anti-gravity device, but he accidentally makes a device that takes you to parallel Earths, right? And then, so the pilot episode, he makes this device. He thinks it's an anti-gravity thing, but he discovers it can take him to another dimension, right? But then he ends up at a parallel Earth where it's like all these ice caps, and he has to speed up. There's like a timer on his device that like for it to build up energy, but he ends up like speeding it forward, and then that ends up screwing it up, so he can't go back to his home Earth, right? So he ends up having to slide from Earth to Earth trying to get back to his home, and that's what the original Sliders was about, right? So he was just each episode they ended up on a new parallel Earth, like, and it took place in San Francisco. Like the show's like was set, the setting was San Francisco, and so like each parallel Earth they'd have like the same like extras coming in, but you'd see them doing different things, and the world would be tweaked in each different world in different ways. And I love the show because it just had so many different ways they thought of to like switch the Earth from episode to episode, and like cool stories, and you're always just wondering if they're ever going to make it home. And it eventually kind of, the 5th season sucked, to be honest, because it was pretty much on the way to getting canceled, but it made it 3-4 seasons before sucking, in my opinion. But I want to bring it back. It's been 20 years since it, it's been about 17 years since it ended, because it ended in 2000. But I want to bring it back Jerry O'Connell, but this time his son accidentally does what he did in the original. Right?
So you're doing like a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids thing? Where it goes
Almost.
from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids to Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves type thing?
Almost reverse. Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves to Honey, the kid shrunk himself. So like the kid is a whiz kid like he was when he was younger, but he accidentally like creates this portal, but he doesn't have like a machine never get returned, so he gets lost in the multiverse. So it's not really about following him. He's just the what's it called? The MacGuffin. He's the reason for the show to exist. He gets lost in the multiverse, and Jerry O'Connell, maybe
has
his
to
wife,
has to go through all the shit again.
Exactly, to track him down. I just want to see him having to slide again. I don't even care if they just bring it back for 1 or 2 seasons, but that was my idea for bringing that back.
It's like Tron.
Yeah.
Did you say Tron?
Yeah.
How is it like Tron?
Well, the first one's the dad going in.
Like in
Jeff
in a
Bridges'
really
character's going
rough
in.
concept. So Jeff Bridges gets trapped in the video game, and then after it's this kid.
Okay,
that
I've
gets
never
trapped
saw the
in
original
video
Tron.
game.
This is why I don't get this.
You've never seen
Okay.
Tron?
I've been meaning to get to it. It's just I only ever had a VHS of it.
You need to watch that.
I'll put it on my list. Honestly, it's just something.
Don't get me
I-
wrong; it's
So-
nowhere near
they're
as good
so
as
bad,
Legacy.
They're amazing.
Okay, I'll put Tron onto my list of things to go get to eventually.
Man, I was with you when we saw the reboot.
I know.
The original,
I remember.
the
You've
original
never
Tron
seen the
is
I
first
remember. No, I didn't. Or I
You
saw
don't
when I was,
remember
like,
me watching
so
South
young.
Park halfway through?
No, I remember that. I do. I remember that whole movie experience because it was
Ugh.
terrible.
Man, you guys didn't like Tron Legacy?
No, I
No, I
wanted to
did.
watch
I
the
did.
movie. It was the experience with who I
Okay.
was with.
I was
There were some
okay.
illicit activities that happened prior to.
Yeah, and so
Prior
those
to-
guys.
I was
were
gonna say,
distracted,
like, I
and
don't
then
think I can do
Andrew
this
got
podcast
distracted.
anymore
I was the only one
if you
watching
guys-
the movie. That was pretty much what happened. And
Mommy,
I was very
don't
distracted.
be too mad at me. Big Daddy was super baked and started watching friggin' South Park with Steven on the on his phone.
Yeah.
mid movie, like, oh shit,
mid-movie,
Tron.
they just got bored. I think it's because we had seen it before that, though. Isn't it? Isn't that why it was? That me and you
Was
had
it?
already seen it before?
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure that was the second time I was watching it, and I think it was the second time you were watching it too. And
That
that's why
that
I'm
would
pretty
make
sure you
sense
got
why I
bored.
would just tap out mid movie.
And why I wasn't like that upset
Yeah.
really about it,
Yeah.
but also why I remember everything besides the movie from that night.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, get back on track.
Sliding
Yeah.
over
Sliding
to the
back.
next thing on my list.
Yes.
How many more do you have left?
I've just got one
Scott?
more after sliders.
Okay, I'm gonna do 2 then, because I have 4.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one I have is also the Brady Bunch.
Okay.
Mine is not nearly as exciting as Craig's.
Okay.
Mine is the Wayne Brady Bunch.
Oh, I like that.
All right.
And it's
For a second, I forgot that we talked about this. So I was like, wait, what did you say? Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
The Wayne Brady Bunch.
Wayne
I
Brady
forgot.
Bunch. And
Wayne
basically
Brady.
the
Sounds really
concept of this one is Wayne Brady's a dad to his bunch of children, but he's not a good dad. Like he's like a Peter Griffin type dad where he meets everything with, oh, let's just sing a song and kind of laugh about it. So
Yeah.
like the mom is doing all the running around trying to raise their like 10 kids. that they've either adopted their foster parents or like
I was
their
hoping you'd said that,
biological
so
kids.
that was just a bunch of mixed kids. That's what I wanted to see.
It'll be like a hybrid between like the Brady Bunch and what was that movie with
Cheaper by a Dozen?
no, not kind of like Cheaper by the Dozen. Oh man, this is gonna drive me nuts.
Something by Tyler Perry.
Nope, no. Oh man, I gotta Google this. Anyways, it's so basically what happens is Wayne Brady their kids are adopted, foster kids, they're natural kids, and just a whole gaggle fuck of kids. And like the mom is running around trying to be on top of everything, raising them the way they need to be raised, pointing them in the right direction, and Wayne Brady just fucks around all day, every day, sings songs and the kids are like, "Dad, come on, you gotta help." And he's like, "Well, let me." Oh, jeez, almost died on spit. Man. Whew. The singing, the high-pitched voice didn't help me right there.
Clear your throat before you get into the voice.
Oh, man. Whew. But anyways, so that's the whole premise is just Wayne Brady being a shitty dad on the show.
Yeah.
And then Ted Danson can be Alice again.
Okay.
He's the housekeeper.
Alice the housekeeper.
What's his job in this show?
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking radio personality.
I was
Just
thinking
'cause
like aspiring talk show host, and that's
Okay.
why or like variety show host, and that's why he's always singing. So you have like an excuse why he's always singing in the show.
Okay, yeah. Like he wants to do something, but turns out he should be a stay-at-home dad because he doesn't really have anything going on.
Yeah.
So he flip-flops from things, and he has like the Barney Stinson Please job.
Yeah.
And he wants to be Danny Tanner, basically.
Yes.
Exactly. I don't know who that is, but exactly.
Man, you've never seen Full House?
I haven't actually watched Full House since I was younger, and I was never the most into it. Like I couldn't tell you a character's name.
Okay.
I know that's
Danny
that's
Tanner's the main character.
Okay. Well, I know that was played by what's his name?
Bob Saget.
Yeah, Saget. I knew that. I just you had to give me a second. But Andrew, what's next on your list before we get to my last one?
Okay, on a side note, the name of the movie was Yours, Mine, and Ours with Dennis Quaid. That is the movie I was thinking of.
That was the Cheaper by the Dozen ripoff.
That was kind of what happens in the movie is Dennis Quaid's character and Rene Russo's character
get married and they both have 8 kids, right?
Dennis Quaid is like this high maintenance.
Was that the one with Tom
admiral.
Welling, or was Tom Welling in the?
Yes, he's
he's in this
the
one.
son.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I remember.
We'll bring in
I've seen
Tom
this.
Welling into the show too because I love that guy.
Yeah, and he needs work, I assume.
Yeah, the last thing I saw him in was Draft Day, so
I haven't seen that. And so
watch it.
I've still only ever seen him in Smallville.
It's Smallville. Okay, so after that one, the next small one, which isn't even an important reboot, but I want it done. I want the X-Files redone without David Duchovny. I want Keanu Reeves.
So
I don't like it. I don't support this idea
so
at all.
So the season
because
that's
David
literally
Duchovny's the
starting
man.
right now, you want them to just cut David Duchovny,
The
bring in
whole
Keanu
show.
Reeves.
The whole show.
So this
they
whole
look
new,
so
like-
similar to me. I would watch it if it was Keanu Reeves.
Nope.
I don't see that at all. I don't know.
I don't want it. And then Ted
David
Danson can just be
Duchovny's the
Ted
only reason
Danson.
I ever watched the X-Files to begin with.
Exactly. He's fantastic.
It wasn't for me, but I feel like if it was Keanu Reeves, I could make
could
it
be
happen.
for you.
I
The
could
only way I
spend
would
all the
support-
seasons thinking maybe it was like a John Wick spin-off with aliens.
The only way I would support you removing David Duchovny from the X-Files is if you literally replaced him with Ted Danson.
I could do that.
And even
I like that a little bit.
then, I'd be really hesitant.
As long as Keanu Reeves is associated. Keanu Reeves can be Keanu Reeves.
Why don't we
just
give
flip-flop
Keanu a
it.
new show? Why don't we just make a Bill and Ted
With Keanu Reeves
awesome
and Ted
TV
Danson.
adventures, and it's him as an elderly dude, and they still haven't found the song. So, like, I don't know if you guys have heard. Some people have tried to like there's rumors maybe a third movie being made.
Yeah,
Screw
yeah,
movie,
but those
make
rumors
it
have been
a
around for like 10
TV.
years.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking 10. Like, make it a short season. Let's do that. And they're trying to figure out the song the whole season, and they're traveling to different eras.
It turns out that was Keanu Reeves Bill or was he Ted? I think he was Ted, wasn't he?
He was Ted. Yeah,
He was Ted.
He was wait. Was he Theodore? Oh no, I'm not sure. I got to rewatch those now too.
Yeah, jeez.
I'm gonna watch those before Tron, to be honest. I like those movies so much.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves was Ted, so Ted Danson will have to be Bill, but we'll make him like the future version of Bill.
No, exactly. I like that.
Like from using the time machine too much, Bill aged a lot and became Ted Danson.
I like it.
And then now they're just trying to be like, whoa, dude, you're older now. You have wisdom. Let's write better songs.
Let's not steal a Kiss song.
Yeah, they'll rip off a Phil Collins song. I'm down for that.
Yeah, I'm so down to watch that season. Netflix, get on it.
Yeah, really.
We've given them so much good material.
Oh, we're not even done. I have one more show. Andrew has 2 more, right?
Yeah. Like for our Bill and Ted ripoff, it can be something happened on the way to heaven will be the song they find out at the end, and then TV will get shut down forever because it'll just be so good.
I like that.
Okay, so what's your last one, Scott?
My last one, again, along the same lines as everything else. This is probably the most like rebooty one of the ones I've come up with. It's Quantum Leap.
Aside from rebooting Firefly directly 20 years later.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, no, like this one's like kind of the same thing, ideally, but it's there's only one person from the original. I don't know. Do you guys know the concept of Quantum Leap? Did you guys ever see that show?
Isn't it pretty much the same thing as Sliders?
A little bit, yeah.
So
Just a little
most
bit
of your shows are kind of related with your previous show.
Like, do you not understand?
Is there an alien
I love
threat?
Space, and I love multiple dimensions and sci-fi.
Oh, I know you. I just think it's funny that
none of these things exist in my real life. I don't get to travel these things. I don't want to go to Bora Bora. I want to go to another planet, but I can't. So I watch these shows, and I think about them doing it for me. Anyways, Quantum Leap's the concept for you, Craig, because I know you haven't seen it.
No, but I'm looking it up.
Was this scientist was doing some kind of experiment, and he ends up getting he's trying to experiment with time traveling in your own lifetime.
They make a quantum creep reference in Family Guy.
Yeah. So he ends up the experiment goes wrong, as in a lot of sci-fis, and he ends up getting sent through time, but it's not him as a person. It's his consciousness keeps getting sent through time, and he ends up in different people's lives throughout time. So, one time he'll end up in a black lady from the 50s, and the episode will be about what black people have to deal with and about you know what I mean. And so each episode's a little bit different like that. It's a little bit of a social commentary. And he's bouncing back. Hopefully he's eventually getting back to his own body eventually. And while he's bouncing between all these, there's this AI holographic thing that's always telling him, you gotta, figure out, you gotta help this person's problem or whatever. That's pretty much why he always pops in these different people, because they're all dealing with some life issue or something. He has to help, he has to take their place and overcome it for them apparently. And then he pops onto the next person from episode to episode. So that's how the original show went. I didn't watch a whole lot of it, but I liked the idea of it.
It was Scott Bakula that was in that show, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and Scott Bakula is the only guy who's coming back, because he's just going to be the holographic guy for the new dude, the new main dude who's going to be bouncing between each world. So Scott Bakula just takes the place of the holographic dude.
Okay, I like that. I can get behind that.
Yeah, he just comes in, tells the guy, you gotta help this person's problem. You gotta help figure it out, and he gives mentory advice and helping helping the new Scott Bakula characters figure out learn lessons and become a better person through traveling through these different things. And
I like it. Yeah. I love Scott Bakula. I'm pretty sure he was in Stargate Enterprise, I think.
Yeah, he was the main guy.
And he was the only reason I watched that show.
Mm-hmm.
So I support it.
Yeah, and so that was my last one. That was probably the one I put the least amount of time into. I just wanted to have a fourth one on my list. And but that one I just thought would be kind of cool. It'd be the easiest one, I think, too, for them to bring back, because it's not the most sci-fi. It is sci-fi, but it's not like lasers and stuff.
Yeah, it's obscure enough that it would be possible to redo it without totally just crushing everyone's dreams, right?
Exactly. And I think bringing his character back as the new AI would have a little bit of a continuity to it.
Yeah. It would be like The Flash, where they bring John Wesley Shipp in and make him Jay Garrick instead of being Barry Allen. So.
Exactly. So it's that same thing to me.
Geeks would love it, and other people just wouldn't know about it, so they'd fall in love with it.
We're the only ones who watch sci-fis anyway, so
enough.
If more people watch sci-fis, guess what? They'd stick around longer. Not since like Stargate have we had a 10-season
Yeah.
sci-fi, and that's just a shame. Since the 90s.
I just want to say before I finish mine, going over TV shows that I thought about rebooting or redoing, I couldn't do it. There are so many.
There was
so
a lot
many,
I couldn't get to. Those
even
reasons
just-
mine are mostly just continuations of shows because I'm like, I don't want any of these to be like rebooted. I want them.
Well,
to be
even
continued.
in the just the 90s, which is what I was mainly focusing on,
Yeah.
there were so many shows where I was like, it's perfect. It started perfect. It built up perfect. It ended perfect. I don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
I don't want to tarnish the reputation that was that show. So I was like, shit. Now I got to just start tinkering with shows that are kind of good to begin with.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Such as my next one, Everybody Loves Raymond.
Careful
Okay,
what you do with this.
well see,
I
I'm happy because I didn't hate that show. I just didn't like it. Ray Romano isn't that funny to me. To be
See,
honest,
I'm leaving
I never
Ray.
got the
I'm,
show.
I'm fine with
Thank
Ray.
God.
Okay, I'm not watching it then. I'm sorry.
I'm
I don't
ousting
get
Brad
his
Garrett.
Family. I don't get his like funny or his
See,
humor. He's just not funny to me.
I'm ousting his brother Robert Robitussin.
Thank you. Sorry, I forgot about the mute button. That doesn't work.
So I'm ousting Brad Garrett, who plays Robert, getting rid of him
That's
because he was the part that I never really liked about the show.
It got old. So like for me, the show got like everything about the show got old really quickly. But I could see
Each
especially him.
character only played like what they did, and I
That
can
was
see
it.
why that
Nobody
would suck for you.
grew as people. Nobody learned anything.
Here's what we're gonna do: we're gonna replace Deborah
Okay,
with Sandra Bullock, so that the way there's some major eye candy that keeps bringing people in.
that's fair. That's smart. Big name. Because
Yeah.
no one's come back for Ray.
No, but Brad Garrett is getting replaced with. Can I get a drum roll? Woody Harrelson.
I like that.
I like it.
They're almost the same age. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure Brad Garrett's like 57, Woody Harrelson's 56, or maybe vice versa, something like that. They're close enough in age that you could
Yeah.
do it.
I like
But then Woody Harrelson's character wouldn't be the "oh, I miss Ray." He would be like this total playboy cop who
like it.
who like secretly he's kind of jealous of Ray's life being together, but at the same time he can show off that he's this badass playboy cop.
I like it. Do you remember his character from was it Friends with Benefits?
Friends with Benefits, where he's the gay sports
Exactly.
writer.
I'm
Yes.
imagining that. Like to be
Yeah,
honest, I just
pretty
wanted
much, but
like
him as a
that.
cop.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because he's so over the top, and that role was like really for me what kind of like brought my attention to Woody Harrelson as an actor.
Same here.
Because I was like, holy shit, who's this guy? Like,
I love this
how
guy.
how gay is this guy? And then you find out he's totally straight. He's just a top notch actor.
He just like played it so like over the top. Like I enjoyed that role he played so much, and I'm pretty much on the same line as you. Like that was where like he stuck out to me, and like after that I was like, I need to find him in other things. Like I'm sure I'd seen him in other things, but that's
Yeah.
when I was like, what's that guy's name? It's
Like
Woody
I
Harrelson.
don't
Okay.
know if this is totally off topic again, but I don't know
What
if
we
you've
do?
seen. I don't know if you've seen the first season of True Detective.
Not yet. That's again on the list. It's there.
Don't even bother with the second season. It's not that
Okay.
good, but the first season is unbelievable with Woody Harrelson in it
And,
oh man,
McConaughey, right?
Matthew McConaughey. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable how good it is.
It's on Crave TV. It's on
Is it?
it's on my
Definitely watch it.
cravings list. So I'm gonna.
I think it
get
also
to it.
has oh man, I can't
How
remember
long
what
is
the
the
name
first season? How many episodes?
I think like 8.
10.
Like
oh,
it's
perfect. I was hoping. It'd be
I
a
think
shorter
they're about
one.
45 minutes to an hour long.
I
but
figured
it's
that,
it's a
yeah.
pretty short series.
That's what I was hoping for. Like
It's
shorter
it's like a
series.
it's like a long mini series, if that makes any sense.
Okay, cool, perfect. I
Like
like
it's
that.
it's real good.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I've been meaning to check that one out for like the longest. As soon as I found out he was in it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch that.
Definitely do it. I bought it when it was on sale at Costco for like $10 a couple years ago, and I have no
Nice.
regrets.
Spending $10 on any box set, I feel, is just a good investment, no matter what.
That's true. That's true. Even if it's shit, you still have it.
Yeah, it's like I got 4 DVDs at least for $10,
Yeah.
motherfucker. Fuck off.
I came out ahead even if this was a loss.
I can't even rent movies for that cheap.
That's true. So the
It's
last
helpful that
the
hang
la-
on before you continue that Woody Harrelson was in 206 episodes of Cheers.
Yeah, I knew that. I never really watched Cheers when I was growing up.
That's who we should have used instead of Ted Danson. No, that's not true because we have to have Ted Danson.
Has to have Ted Danson.
Next
because
time we
Ted-
do this, though, we have to have
Woody Harrelson?
Woody Harrelson and everything.
We'll call it Got Wood. and then we'll just like stick him into everything.
I like
Which
that.
was another double entendre right there.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
So my Ted Danson
good.
character in Everybody Loves Raymond, he would be Ray's editor,
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. I
but
like that.
he's also going to kind of be the creepy sex crazed boss as well.
Yeah.
He's going to be obsessed with Ray's wife.
Well, because it's Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, he's going to be obsessed with her, like always just trying to like dish and get the little bit of information here and there.
Yeah.
And Ray's going to be like, "Oh, come on, shut up, Ted. Don't talk about my wife. Get
His
your own
name's gonna be
girlfriend."
Ted in the show.
Yeah.
Okay. I like
And
it.
then the last one I have, and this one it barely fits the criteria of our 80s, 90s, early 2000s, but it started in 2000, so I'm letting it happen. Smallville.
Wait, what?
I have
are you doing to Smallville?
I haven't done reboots. I've been
Okay.
doing rewrites.
But
I'm getting rid of Lana Lang entirely
oh, that's all okay.
because fuck that.
I was like, what are
bitch.
you gonna do to it? Like,
I hated
Don't
that
really-
character.
don't-
I
I get
just
that.
finished watching it like last
know.
week, start
It's-
to finish.
I'm honestly about to start it soon.
And she is the worst part of that whole show. She doesn't do anything positive whatsoever.
That's
I want to
fair.
get rid of her, and then you know,
Do you want to get rid of her character or the actress? That's my
I can get rid
question.
of her character too, either way. But I just want Kristen Krug gone.
Okay, you just don't like her.
Bring in anyone to replace her. I don't care shit. Bring in like Michelle Obama or something. Just have her come in and be his high school crush. But
That would work.
Ted Danson can be Jor-El.
Okay.
Just dumping these weird Ted Danson wisdoms on him. Just dropping some info.
I don't want you to do this to Smallville. I love Smallville. That was actually the last real like almost. Well, it's a superhero show, but superhero shows tend to fall into sci-fi a little bit. Before superhero shows had more than one, they
Yeah.
used to fall into sci-fi, and so that made it 10 seasons. So I love that show.
Well, we have to put Ted Danson in, so I had to put him in somewhere.
you had
Jor-El's
to
not
put him in such
a
an important role. He could have.
Jor-El's not a recurring enough character though. There was like a one season where he's
See-
there all the time.
If you're rewriting it though, we could do other things. You could be like, okay, he's one of Martian Manhunter's faces.
Okay, we'll make him Dr. Fate. How's that?
See, that's a great plan because we never
He can
saw
just
Dr.
take he
Fate's
can just
face.
take the helmet off and it's just Ted Danson, and you'd be like, what?
I would love that because
Okay.
that would work. That would be great because Dr.
Ted Danson is now Dr. Fate, and Lana Lang is
I think that
Michelle
season's
Obama.
probably my
so-
favorite season. It's when they have like the Justice League thingy,
The
or
Justice Society of
yeah.
America, yeah, with Stargirl, and
all that fun stuff.
then the Martian Manhunter loses his Kryptonian powers and gets his legitimate stuff back.
yeah, it's awesome. I like it. I gotta rewatch that show.
So that is the end of my Smallville,
And
or
I
my
think that
Smallville,
brings
end
us
of my
to the,
my pitches.
I think that brings us all to the end of our pitches.
Yeah.
Which means
that went on longer than I thought it would.
Which I think we should call that segment "Dan Son," like "Damn Son" instead of Dan.
Yeah,
instead of
yeah,
Danson.
no, I
Yeah.
got it. I
Yeah.
got it. I liked
Yeah.
it. I'll put that in the show notes for sure. But I want to know what'd you guys watch this week?
So I'm gonna kick this one off.
Go ahead.
Go crazy.
Okay, so I didn't watch a whole hell of a lot. I watched, I think, 6 or 7 things.
Yeah, we're
like
on
I
that
mentioned,
same
I
one.
finished Smallville, so I don't have to dive in too much about that. I don't
You
want
already
Lana
did.
Lang on that show.
Yeah, that's,
But
that's your comment about
good
it,
show. The first 3 seasons were a little slow for me,
Yeah.
mainly because Lana was such an important part, and they had to develop characters before they could bring in like legitimate like
Before
comic
they could
book
do
characters.
anything, yeah, exactly.
Instead
They
of
had to
just
get past
using
high school.
random metahumans.
Yeah, they just had to get
But-
past high school.
Yeah, but once they get out of high school and they finally start developing him into like the Superman character,
Yeah, that's when it's
you know,
great.
pre-Blur, and then they start using actual comic book characters, it gets
yeah.
more, it gets away
Brainiac.
from being the superhero soap opera and
Yeah.
becomes more of an actual show.
Yeah, an action-y superhero show.
Yeah. So other than Smallville, one of the other things I watched this week, and this isn't even a WWWTW, what did we watch this week? I'm going to call it Who Would Watch This Train Wreck? And it was Les Mis. Not the musical one that came out a few years ago with Hugh Jackman.
Okay.
This was one that came out in the 90s with Liam Neeson in it.
Okay.
And
What?
It's not even a musical.
How did I not know this existed?
It's on Netflix.
Oh
You know
man,
what
that's
Craig's
one on my
watching on his
list.
sick day tomorrow.
Yeah,
It
God
is
willing, I'm
so
not
terrible.
dead
Like
tomorrow.
I started watching it because I've never really been a huge fan of Les Mis, but
Yeah,
I
that's
did
fair.
like the Hugh Jackman, like that musical movie, and I was like, okay, well, let's see. It used to be on Netflix. Let's see if it is. Click, 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 and there's Les Mis, and I'm like, okay, let's click on it. Liam Neeson, what? Okay, well, I love me some Liam Neeson. Let's watch
Yeah.
some an Irish version of Les Mis. And I'm watching, and I'm like, there's been no singing. This musical starts off with a song.
Yeah.
What's going on? So, okay, let's skip 20 minutes in.
Let's see if it starts
Nope,
singing soon.
let's keep
Nope.
going. No musical numbers whatsoever. And I'm like, fuck is
What's
this
the point
train
of
wreck?
this?
How do you take a musical and take
And
the
take
music
out all
out
the
of
music
it?
out. That's just, you know what that is? It's nothing.
That's nothing. That is a movie for
Literally
the sake of
nothing.
making a movie.
It's just like, hey, that had a name. Let's put that on this thing.
They didn't even have to call it Les Mis. Just call it the convict who escaped and lived a second life. That's what they should have called it.
That's the Count of Monte
or-
Cristo.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
But that's the next thing I watched on this list.
Nice.
Who would watch this train wreck?
Yeah.
I've been hitting Bob's Burgers pretty hard because that
Told you it
show
was
is
good.
a lot better than I remember it being.
Yeah, you two have been talking about it a lot, and I'm just like, am I supposed to,
That's-
like, I don't think I'll get to it, to be honest. I don't watch a lot of cartoons, like, but-
I stand by it. See, I
Because
love
it's
the
finally made
comedy
its way
cartoons.
to-
Yeah, is it
So
like,
good.
which one is it, like, most like? Like, would you say it's similar to Family Guy?
I say it's more. I'd say it's more
which
like.
one?
It's most like Bob's Burgers. It's not really like anything.
Yeah, it's like it's on its own.
It's
That's not
nothing
helpful.
like
It's
Family
not-
Guy. It's nothing like American Dad or The Simpsons. The voices are the
Yeah, 'cause
same
those
as
are all
Archer,
pretty much the
but
same.
story's different.
Yeah, it's.
I meant like the
it's-
humor style.
Oh, the humor style.
Yeah, that's what I meant more so.
Ugh.
Or
Oh,
like
man.
the episode types. Like, is there any kind of overarching story?
Did you
'Cause that's my
watch
favorite part about
Master?
No,
Did
not
you watch
really.
Master of None?
No, not yet. Maybe.
Okay,
I probably
well,
won't.
I was gonna say it's most like Master of None.
I know the concept
The-
of that. Okay, that's
The humor style is kind of absurd. There's no real overarching story aside from like they can't pay their rent. They're basically dying as restaurant owners, and that's pretty much it.
Bob, here's a basic rundown. Bob's character got married to a weirdo.
Yeah.
His kids are just fucking deranged,
Yeah.
and he's okay with it because he got laid 3 times. That's your whole synopsis of Bob's Burgers.
Yeah,
He's
so I
just
won't be
like,
getting into
well,
that.
he's like, well, my life is kind of weird, but I got laid 3 times, so let's make it happen.
It's awesome. His sister-in-law's hilarious. His regulars are hilarious. The landlord is a freaking weirdo.
Oh man,
He's a
who
rival
who
with
is
the
it who
restaurant
voices
across the street.
the landlord? I know it's someone.
Last name is Klein.
Oh, Kevin Kline.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why do I know that name?
Okay, he was in
Nice to see
the
him.
the Pink Panther reboots with
Oh,
Sue
that guy.
Martin?
Okay. Yeah. I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about now. Yeah. I was like, I
Yeah.
know that guy. But yeah. Okay.
or a fish named Wanda. Yeah, he was in those.
Okay. Right on. What
But,
else did you watch?
I watched American Dad. I finished all the ones that they have of that on Netflix,
Nice.
which was disappointing because I also finished all the episodes they have on Last Man Standing, which they
Oh, you
just
watched that
added
new
the other
season?
day. Yeah, I crushed that
Oh,
new season.
Damn, I haven't even started that one yet.
And it makes me sad because I was so into both of those shows at the same time, and now I'm done both of them
Now
at the
you've
same time.
That's why you have Bob's Burgers.
Now
to
we've
fill
got
the
Bob's
void.
Burgers.
Yeah.
The only problem is there isn't that many seasons of it on Netflix, which I'll be done by
I'm almost
like
done.
Sunday.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
But
Back
luckily,
to Smallville.
yeah, restart that train wreck. But no, I think the next thing I'm going to jump into, and it's a French show that's been on Netflix for a couple days now. It's called La Mante, which is the mantis.
I've looked at that.
And
Okay.
it's it kind of strikes me as like a French version of what was it we were just talking about, that cop show, True Detective. Kind
Okay.
of strikes me as something like that, like the premise of it being similar, where there's like, but it's got like a serial killer in jail, and this guy or this detective has to go like find the serial killer's kid to help him solve like the copycat murders.
Okay.
But it's a French show, so like
That's
it's
where I'm
it-
lost. Yeah.
but they have all subtitles on it in English. So
Subtitled.
like,
Oh, I could learn
But
French.
but it looks so intense. I'm like,
Wow.
you know, I might jump in. I might take the plunge. Might
Okay.
nesty it.
Why not? Do you have you watched more like have you watched any other French shows on Netflix before?
No, I haven't. As long as Les Filles de Caleb isn't on there, I probably won't. But
Could you imagine?
oh god, I would
I
would
couldn't. I have no idea what you're
unsubscribe
talking
so
about.
fast.
I would watch it first, though.
Watch it and be like, sorry, I want my $12 from last
Can
month
I-
back. Thank you.
Can I please have my money back? Because this is terrible.
So that was my WWWTW. What did you guys watch this week?
Kurt, you want to go
Do you want to go
first?
first, Scott?
Oh.
I can go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either way is fine.
I've been off sick the past couple days,
Okay.
so I've watched quite a bit.
All right.
My list really isn't that long, though. So I've watched a lot of Bob's Burgers,
Yep.
obviously.
Fair.
I've watched some American Dad.
Yep.
And then I've been the issue I have with being sick is that I can't really commit to anything, so I bounce around into a bunch of different stuff, and there's so much stuff that's come out. So I watched the first of the new Dave Chappelle specials.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's
What'd
pretty
you think?
pretty
And-
funny, eh?
It wasn't awful. we'll go with that.
See, I like him because
It
he
was-
talks, and like every once in a while you'll get a, huh, but it's really good to fall asleep to.
I do like that
Yep.
he laughs at himself. Like
Yeah.
I do like that he makes himself laugh. 'Cause it's just
He
like,
does.
and I
He's
think-
like Chris D'Elia, but less over the top laughing and more like just like knee slap. Like he's
Yeah,
like,
like,
fuck.
I'm
I just
funny.
made
And I like-
I just made
He's just like-
60 million.
Yeah.
I just made $60 million for 4 comedy specials. So
I like the aesthetic of the vape as well.
yeah,
I'm not usually a huge fan of that cloud of vapor, but
works with him.
his old
well,
his old
he'll straight
comedy
up
used
just
to
light
have
up a
he used
cigarette
to
on
s-
stage.
Yeah.
pay
He
the
used to
pay the
smoke,
fine and
and you
just do it.
can't.
So
So the vaping thing was good because you'd be hard pressed to get Netflix to put that on television. Smoking, that is.
well, I kind of
So I
like
watched
I kind of
that.
like that he uses it as not a crutch, but like he uses it as like the same as like taking a sip of water.
It's for cadence.
Yeah, to like give you that pause and effect, and then hit you with the punchline.
Yeah, it gives him something to do with himself. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because knowing Dave Chappelle, there's something else he might want to do with himself on stage, and can't do that.
No, we cannot. So I watched a couple documentaries this week too.
On what?
The first one I watched was called Betting on Bitcoin,
Oh, I
and
mean
it's
to watch
basically like a, yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty descriptive. It's basically like a like kind of a brief history of Bitcoin and how it came to be and what it's based on and all the different stuff like that. So that was pretty good. I watched that this morning, and then the other one I watched was really, really long, and I'll admit that I slept through a good chunk of it. But I watched Let It Fall, Los Angeles, 1982 to 1992, and it's basically about the decade leading up to and including the riots that
Yeah.
happened after Rodney King was murdered.
Okay, yeah.
And then the police officers got acquitted. So unfortunately, I slept through 1982 all the way up to the end of like up to the end of the trial. I slept through that entire chunk. I basically woke up as they were going over the acquittal, and then I watched the rest of it because it's absolutely riveting, the way they did it. And I think, I mean, none of us were alive in 1992. so
You
we
don't know
can't-
me.
We can't really say that we had any experience with it, but I think it was well represented because they did interviews with the police officers that were on the ground. They did interviews with other people in the community that weren't necessarily involved in the riots. They did interviews with the riots, including one of the guys that was charged with beating up a truck driver that was driving through the intersection at Florence and Normandy. And so I thought it was well represented because they covered all the different perspectives rather than being like, look at all these violent people or look at all these violent police officers. They kind of did everything.
That's good. So
So you had a good mix of you had a good mix of the officers going in helping people, but a good mix of the people in the neighborhood being like, this is ridiculous. Why are we hurting people? And going in and helping people. So it was good. I recommend it if you can handle 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, I've never watched
Or-
a documentary that long, to be honest.
Or just sleep through the first half. Well, I've watched a bunch of different other ones that are like 6 hours long.
Oh
so
gosh, I couldn't do
that wasn't. Yeah, no, I highly recommend Prohibition. It's a good documentary, but it's not quite that long. It's 4 maybe. So I watched that. I finally watched Star Trek Beyond.
Oh, That's good.
Great
What'd you
movie,
think of
eh?
that?
That was good.
Yeah, I told you.
Idris
Boys.
Elba is a sexy motherfucker.
I didn't even know it was
Yeah.
him at first, to be honest.
Until the end, where
You
you're
know,
like, wait,
he's
where the fuck
right
did
until
Idris
the
Elba
end,
come
and
yeah,
you're
from?
where
like,
did he get in here?
wait, because his voice is disguised.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I figured it out. He does a bit of an accent,
Mhm.
different from what he normally does.
His
Yeah.
normal one,
Um,
yeah.
Yes, different from what he
He
normally
has so
does.
much range.
He's amazing.
Exactly. He's a very good actor.
He's my future John. Oh fuck, what's his name? John Stewart.
Yeah.
I also watched Civil War this afternoon.
Oh,
Finally.
took you long enough.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that until
I know.
today,
And
so I liked it.
I knew you
I didn't
would.
realize
That's
that the Black Panther character was in it.
yeah, for a little bit.
So
yeah,
I'm far more excited for that movie than I was.
that's good.
Although I was pretty excited because the trailer was good. But yeah, no, I hadn't seen it. I liked it. It was good enough.
that's
Um,
good.
Yeah, and then the only other thing I watched was, so there's this series that Netflix put out. I don't know if you saw it, Scott. Probably not. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency.
Actually, I just added that to my list.
If you like really weird and Elijah Wood, then you'll
The
probably
trail,
enjoy it.
honestly, it's
so
Alan
weird.
Tudyk being in the second season's what's getting me to watch it.
And that's and it's worth it because he comes in with a pretty good with a pretty good spot.
I
That's
thought
pretty
about
much I
checking it out
finished.
before, but like I said, I have a rule for 2 seasons, but it just hit the
It's-
second season, so I added it
it's
as soon as the second season
so-
got added.
So weird. It's based on a series of books by the guy that wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, that's cool. That's a nice little
Yeah.
factoid.
So it's kind of the same weird vein,
I like that.
except
yeah.
that like if you've seen the Hitchhiker's Guide to the
Oh yeah, I love that
Galaxy,
movie.
okay, that's got nothing on this.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The trailer
That's-
looked pretty wacky,
Damn.
which I was just like, but my kind of wacky, because I like there's
Yeah.
like kind of nonsensical wackiness or nonsensical kind of like, oh, this is just whatever. But it seems like they probably have some kind of rules that the wackiness plays within, and that's all I ever need for my wackiness.
It kind of does. I really liked the first season.
Okay.
I did not expect them to come back with a second season.
Okay.
So when I saw it, I was like, "Hey, look at that!" And then obviously, I just need to get into it, be able to commit to the 45-minute episodes.
Oh,
But it's
okay.
good.
Yeah, I'm definitely, like I said, I added it to my list, so I'll definitely have to check that out.
Do it, but it's so weird.
Sometimes you need a little weirdness in your life.
So
Like you guys get
weird.
yours from like your Bob's Burgers and stuff. I don't watch that, so I need a little weirdness in my life. Besides all the superhero
like
stuff.
I can handle a
That
whole
gets
lot of
pretty
weird.
weird sometimes.
It gets so weird sometimes, and I love it. Like we just brought an elongated man into Flash. Like what?
Yeah, I have absolutely no use for that character though. No use for him. He
That's
hasn't done
fair.
anything for the season.
Oh, he's so useless. But that's why I kind of like him because he should be more useful, but he's
that
so
and he-
useless,
just the
and he thinks
the
he's
actor
helpful.
who plays him. Oh God.
That's fair. He does kind of. He can wear on you. I'm glad that he's not like super reoccurring yet, but that's just because it hasn't come back yet.
So that's all I watched this week, Scott.
Okay,
You're
so
the only one
my
left,
list
I
is
think,
a
right?
bit shorter than usual. As I mentioned,
So
before,
only 14 things instead of 16 things.
only 10 to be
Yeah.
honest. No, I'm
Okay.
kidding. I'm kidding. There's so I did watch Firefly and Serenity. I did finish that last week. I watched Arrow and Agents of Shield because Agents of Shield just came back from like a 2-week hiatus.
Okay, they're
uh,
mid-season.
yeah,
Mid-season
exactly.
break. Yeah.
So they're back, and I'm excited for that because I want to see where this alien thing goes. They brought Fitz to the future. I know I'm spoiling that for you, but I know you won't get to it for a while.
Yep. Give me like 3 years and I might catch up.
Exactly.
I'm still waiting for them to make it cheaper, like for
That's
the box
fair.
sets.
It's because it's Disney.
Yeah.
ABC, yeah. Anyways, but yeah, so I'm watching that week to week now. I watched the show called Myths and Monsters on Netflix, which is a documentary about
Yep.
different myths and monsters. And then the other thing I watched a lot of this week was Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee with Jerry Seinfeld.
I saw
it-
that got added, and I was like,
Is it good?
Is it good?
It's pretty funny. It's just like a talk show. It's just Jerry Seinfeld doing a talk
know.
show, but in a car,
Okay.
and they go get coffee. And I like that. I like that it's always comedians for the most part he talks to, or funny
Didn't
people.
Didn't they do a segment on a TV show of that or something?
I think
It
it started
was
off
a
as
Crackle.
Oh,
what
okay,
it
that's
was.
how it started off. Yeah, and then I think Netflix just bought
Yeah,
it.
he was on Crackle.
Yeah,
and then
they're
Netflix
really
picked it up
short
'cause
though. They're
nobody
like
watches
15,
Crackle.
20 minutes. Like sometimes they'll be like 10 minutes. So it's like they're not really long episodes, but I really like it because like some of the guys. This first episode was with Jim Carrey, so that was really interesting to see him just interviewing Jim Carrey. Just two comedians just talking about being comedians, and that was really fascinating to me. I'm really enjoying it so far, and it's really
I
short.
think
so you
Jim
can just-
Gaffigan's in one, isn't he?
I haven't gotten that far, but its potential is
I
a bunch.
think
like,
I saw something.
I've seen
about
like Jim Carrey, Jimmy Fallon, Chris Rock, John Oliver, and Christoph Waltz are the ones I've seen so far,
it. Okay.
and a few others that I didn't write down. But those are the ones I enjoyed the most of the ones I've seen. I've seen about maybe 4 more than that, but I like it. Like I said, it's really short. So if you got like 10 minutes, you can click one on and you get through a whole episode before it's done. Like you can get through a little, because like I said, it's just a little interview. So it's it's pretty much like the end of a talk show, but like instead of it always being them promoting something, it's them just talking about
Just
being
shooting the
comedian.
breeze, yeah.
Exactly. It's so like sometimes it's like some episodes are a little better than others. Like the Chris Rock one I really liked because Chris Rock they were telling different stories and stuff, and then the Jim Carrey one was probably my favorite one actually because I always like seeing Jim Carrey do any interviews, and so that was really interesting. Like Jim Carrey starts off by like climbing over his house's like fence, and that's how you start off seeing Jim Carrey. So it's pretty funny. But the last thing I watched the Hulk this week. If anybody wants to go watch that video for Countdown to
The
Infinity
Hulk
War.
or the Incredible Hulk?
I watched the Incredible Hulk
Incredible
actually.
There we
Thank
go.
you
You
for correcting
gotta
me.
be specific for the
I
listeners.
did make sure to like write that like a million times when I was doing the YouTube video. I was like, "This is the Incredible Hulk." But yeah, so I watched that. It's probably my least favorite Marvel movie.
Yeah, I didn't really like the Incredible Hulk
Yeah,
myself.
I've never I honestly haven't
Shocker,
watched
I
it in
saw
like
it.
5-10 years maybe now, and there's a reason because I don't really like it. But
See here, I think here's the thing. Steven Tyler's daughter should not have been the
yeah,
main bow in it.
that's-
Anyone else? Give me Sandra Bullock. Make
Well,
it happen.
And it was more of a love story than like a Hulk story, and I was
Yeah.
just like, no, I could deal without that.
I mean,
So,
Ty Burrell is in it, and he seemed very out of place.
yeah, it was just
I liked Ty Burrell though.
it was I didn't enjoy it, but my thoughts are on a video on YouTube, so people can check that out.
Check that out. Content.
But the last thing I watched, which wasn't really a show, but the trailer for Krypton dropped, and I was just curious if you
Yep.
two had gotten to seeing that.
I saw it a while
I
back.
don't even know what you're
they,
talking
They gave
about.
a quick.
Oh,
a quick
okay. I didn't.
trailer.
I only just
And
seen
then
this
I think
one.
this is the second one they've
Okay,
dropped.
this extended one
But,
I watched,
yeah.
which was like you see it's Superman's grandfather, and
Yeah.
apparently there's some kind of time travel
Someone from
involved.
Earth who went and said, "Hey, he's a hero from Earth."
You gotta do this shit, and so I'm like, I like that concept. That right there is probably
The only
thing
thing
that
for
hooked
me is
into
they
the
make
show.
it seem like it wasn't so much a civil war as they were straight up oppressed. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing that kind of gets me.
Yeah, I feel like there's gonna
Because,
be a little
I-
bit of modifying to some of
Yeah.
the Superman mythos, but in my mind, this is kind of just like another Smallville. Like Smallville isn't
Yeah.
technically Superman canon, but I like that we took an element of Superman canon and decided to extend it into a TV show that's just like
my
a different
worry for it
multiverse.
is it's going to be a one season wonder
It's possible.
because I can't see them being able to go past one season if the whole goal is for them to do like something
well
to
if
like
they-
set up for the future.
I agree
right?
partially. It depends on how well they plan it out. If they do like if they shoot their load all at once with like a 22 episode season, then I agree. But if they do it
Well,
smart,
especially knowing that if he's Superman's great grandfather or
Yeah,
his
it's-
grandfather or whatever, like he's got at least one more generation
Yeah.
of shit happening to Krypton before it blows up. Like it
yeah,
seems a little too much like there's too much wiggle room for them just to start inventing new shit.
which I
and
think
new,
they're going to do a
new
lot
mythos
of.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see where it goes, and I'm definitely going to at least check it out. And I know you're probably not going to watch it, so I'll probably let you know what it is.
I'll try to get into it, but
Yeah.
it's one of the things that
Yeah, it's not at the top.
it
of the
looks
list.
good and it looks like it's gonna fuck me up at the same time.
Yeah, I know. I feel like that too. I'm a little scared that it's not going to get enough like wide popularity, and then it's going to be one
Yeah.
goodish season that I'm excited for a second one, but the rest of the world isn't, and then it gets flops. Kind of like Agent Carter.
Get rid of Agent Carter, get rid of Krypton. Just give
Agent
me a
Carter's already
Gotham.
gone. That was my problem with it.
Yeah. Give me a Gotham show that isn't focused around Jim Gordon. It's focused around a young Batman going through his training only. No
training.
villains yet. I just want to see a young Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I would have liked that, but we didn't get that. No.
Don't tell me all the supervillains already exist before Batman comes around, because they only exist due to the fact that Batman exists.
Because he's a crazy thing that draws out
Yes.
other crazy things.
We learned that in
Yes.
Lego Batman.
But that's all I watched this week. Yeah, it wasn't as much as usual. Mainly 'cause,
No train wrecks.
Yeah, no train wrecks from me. I'm pretty good at avoiding train wrecks because there was a couple. Actually, to be honest, there was probably a couple stand-up specials that I might have started and was like, oh no, this isn't funny. But
I started to
down.
watch. What was her name? Something Cho. Ugh.
Don't do it.
Kimmy Schmitz.
No, something Cho. Her specials is called Sideshow. She's an Asian comedian, and I got like 10 minutes in, and I was like, "You haven't said one funny thing yet." And and apparently, like, she's a big comedian, like very well known and very funny. But I was like, maybe it gets funny later, but this hasn't been for me.
Yeah, no,
Your tattoos scare me. You could probably kick my ass.
that's fair.
Wait. Is it Margaret Cho?
Yeah, that might be it. Yeah, her.
She's funny.
Yeah, her comedy special, Sideshow.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I don't even think
I
I've
only have
seen
a
it
vague
anywhere.
idea of who you're talking about and what show
Yeah.
you're talking about now.
She was on 30 Rock.
But yeah.
Anyways, that was episode 14 of the Forgot to Grow Up podcast.
Yes. Well, we got a
what a
shout out to
smooth
do
ending.
before we go. We got to give a special shout out to our American and international listeners because apparently we have American and international listeners, and just wanted to shout you guys out. Thanks for listening. I don't know where you
If
guys
you're
are from.
not people that we know personally from our lives,
Yes.
leave us a comment in the comment section telling us
Yes, on
where
our
you're from.
Facebook or on our YouTube channel. Just let us know where you guys are from and how you found us, so that we're curious. We'll give you a shout out next week because it baffles me that
Yeah.
Americans are listening
That
to us.
Anybody we don't know is listening to
Yes,
us.
if there's anybody. For all we know, this could be some cousin I don't know that's down there, and I'm just like, oh, way to mess with our stats and our
Damn
shout
it.
outs.
I want to give a shout out to my main man Brad, who I'm actually going to see tomorrow, which was 3 days ago once this drops. So I'm looking forward to talking to you in the past, tomorrow,
future.
3 days ago, yesterday. Thanks for supporting us, you and your family. You're great.
Craig, did you have any shout outs you wanted to do?
I don't have any shout outs I want to do.
Okay, then we should probably just say goodbye. Thanks for listening this week,
Bye.
guys. Bye.